Stu, I'd like to play a little game with you.
Okay.
Hey, because I've got 3 stories that scare the living poop right out of me.
Nicely put.
Well, when you hear them, just the headlines, you'll be like, ooh, I might have to wet myself. But instead of being all doom and gloom, let's play a game. Which one makes the poop come out of you?
What? This is not a well thought out title.
I know it's not. Well, which one makes you want to poop your pants?
Okay, that's a little bit better.
All right, here you go.
The other one was just disturbing.
Yeah, I know. All right. Here's the first one. The United States government has lost trillions of dollars, and they don't know what happened to them.
Oh, no.
Okay.
That happens to everybody.
Sure, like the White House can't find $6.2 billion sent to Ukraine. Where did I put that $6.2 billion? Or my favorite, the U.S. Treasury, which I believe is kind of like the accountant's office of the U.S.
Okay, yeah.
Right. They're unable to track $5 trillion just from the pandemic spending.
Just the $5 trillion.
Just the $5 trillion.
Okay, so not 10 trillion.
No, it's not.
Not 80 trillion.
No. Okay, so headline number 2. Australian lab reports losing 323 deadly virus samples.
Just the 323, though.
Little poop, little pee,
okay,
just a little bit.
I just wish we wouldn't.
And this one, in a war against China, the U.S. runs out of missiles in a matter of weeks, according to the House committee. Yeah, which one was it? Which one makes you go in your pants?
I have to say, I think the third one is
China.
Yeah, I mean, although the disease one,
323. Remember, they're already talking about Pandemic X.
Disease X. Yeah.
Disease X. Yeah. Okay, calm down, kids. We don't even know what it's going to be, but it's going to be bad. We're calling it Disease X. Get your mask on now.
This is the problem with how they handled COVID.
Yeah.
It's like now no one's even going to believe a Disease X threat if it happens. I actually am concerned about the pandemic stuff. Like we've talked about that for years, way before COVID, about how that's a legitimately huge risk.
Oh yeah. Because I got to tell you, if Fauci is pardoned by Joe Biden, why are you pardoning? For future crimes? For future crimes. Biden.
Well, they're going to say. I mean, their argument is that Trump is going to said he's going to come after him.
Wait a minute. But wouldn't he worked with Fauci?
I know, it's a very strange.
He worked with Fauci.
The alliances are odd.
All of the stuff that's coming out shows that Fauci knew and covered up. Our government and China are both complicit. Now, I don't know how deep, and I don't want to go into it. Let's let a fair trial happen. But they knew and they covered up, and millions died. I don't know. I don't think there should be a pardon for that one.
I don't think there's any chance Donald Trump's going after Anthony Fauci if he's in office. Do you? I do. Is that you do?
I do.
I don't.
think there are too many people in Congress and in the Senate that have had it. I mean,
I agree with
Rand
that.
Paul is.
Well, Rand Paul hates Anthony Fauci
for good reason.
I'm not saying it's not for good reason, but. Rand Paul was let's say, very skeptical about the vaccine throughout the development. Donald Trump sees it as one of his great accomplishments in office. Donald Trump was on stage with Anthony Fauci when the words 15 days to slow the spread were said.
He also is the guy who just pointed RFK. When RFK walks into his office and says, this has got to stop.
But when it comes to a criminal, it's one thing I think.
I know.
When it comes to a criminal investigation, you're opening up not only Fauci, but
everybody.
All sorts of people who worked with you,
I know.
who had the best of intentions.
Why do you think I'm worried about the Secret Service so much? I mean, when he starts to go in, I mean, think of the literal, I just told you, where did we put that $5 trillion? Think of the money that is involved in this. Trillions of dollars throughout all of this. How much of that is just in people's pockets that shouldn't be in people's pockets? how many people have done things that they should not have done that are really, really bad. You're dealing with the intelligence agencies, the FBI, the Department of Justice, let alone the pharmaceutical companies, just plain old business people. You've got a lot of very powerful people that are like, wait a minute. I'm worried about, because my name is all over the Epstein book, but wait, you're doing what else? You're looking into what else? I mean, it is a cesspool. It's going to get dangerous. It's going to get very, 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 very dangerous.
It's going to be interesting. I do think they will go after some of these people they've been talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know what the line is there. Like going after Cheney, for example. I don't think he's going. I don't think he's going to do that. I don't. So okay.
No, I don't think he's going after that.
Like I'm trying to think of who's the example of who's someone you think they will go after outside of who we've spoken about already. Like someone you think.
Yeah, so I can't tell you names of people. I just think that when it comes down to it, like all of the people that were involved in, Russia, that's just all going to come out.
Yeah, that stuff feels more likely to me than
it's going
Fauci
to be,
or Cheney.
Yeah, it's going to be an X-Files. They'll just release all of these files of everything that's been overclassified.
And that stuff seems more likely to me than necessarily him using the Justice Department to go after crimes. Right. Like I think if he finds crimes, I think he's going to go after him, which seems to be consistent with his statements.
Correct, but I don't think he's not going to target people in advance.
I keep hearing that.
There's no way. I just don't believe it. I've talked to him too many times. He has said for months, I'll say, wow, what do you think about that? You know what? You know what our best revenge is? Absolute and total success.
Yeah. He said that just the other day in that interview.
It's consistent. He is not doing that.
And the media is going with a lower and lower standard of truth with this.
I know.
Where like it started out with like he's going to prosecute people he believes committed crimes.
Right.
Which is kind of what he said.
Right.
Like he actually, and not all people, as we saw with Hillary Clinton, he believes she committed crimes and didn't go after her. But then it became he's going after his enemies.
Right.
Then it became he's going after his political enemies. Then it became he's going to go after his political opponents. The latest one I heard was he's going after his critics. His critics? What? 48% of the country? He's now like it's so insane.
Half the country.
Like he's not going after just random critics. I believe he's, going to instruct, and he says he's not even going to instruct, but I
believe that too.
I believe he'll have a layer of separation there, but he's hiring people he believes will go after criminals. People he thinks committed crimes. And then there's, by the way, a justice system.
Yes.
Right, Glenn?
Yes.
Did I miss? Did they get rid of that?
No.
Can the president just say, well, you need to go in jail and you need to go in jail? No. You'd have to go through a trial, and then there would be challenges and everything else against that.
And those trials would be in Washington, D.C.
Which probably wouldn't go all that well for whatever Republican wanted them to go well.
Correct. So, all right. So let me just quickly go through these other, because I have something that I want to talk to you about that is so obvious, but so controversial. And I've got to find time to squeeze it in because there's something that is happening with both the Daniel Penny story and Luigi that has to be said. And I haven't heard anybody connect these two and say what has to be said on that. And so I'm going to try to squeeze that in maybe next hour, but we've got a jam-packed show today that you just don't want to miss. Let me go back over those other two stories. The Australian lab losing that I don't know how you even lose them. I mean, how? We talked about the money thing. That's something that I think that Doge is going to clean up and better. The last one, in a war against China, the U.S. runs out of missiles in a matter of weeks. I think personally that this is what this is one of the things the Ukraine is about. Depleting our missiles, depleting our ability to defend ourselves, depleting they never refilled the strategic oil reserve. That all has to still be done. That's crazy. It's crazy. It's the lowest ever. Now we can't defend ourselves because we don't have, we don't have certain kinds of rockets and missiles and everything else. It's nuts. So I personally believe that is strategic to weaken us in the world. However, it's also the military-industrial complex saying, great, go ahead. You guys in BlackRock, you can rebuild Ukraine. You can take their farmland in exchange, which they've all done. And then we're going to have to restock at a much higher price everything that we have to have for the U.S. military, because it's going to be clear we have to have these things. Okay, that's what I think is going on. But let me take a more optimistic view of that. Is it possible that there is someone who's saying everything's got to go? I've been telling you for a while, aircraft carriers are the horses of World War I. There were almost no horses left in Europe. Did you know that? Almost no horses left because they all went into battle, and there were tanks and there were machine guns and there were things that nobody had ever seen. And all of these horses died, left literally almost no horses in Europe after World War I. I think that's the aircraft carrier in the next global war. The next big war, those aircraft carriers are going to be swarmed by drones. Everything that we have is outdated. I'm wondering if part of this, in a positive way, is let's get rid of all of this stuff because we have to rebuild. Now, I'd prefer we didn't do that. I'd prefer that we were honest with the American people and we told the American people we have to completely retool, because if you're not transparent, then that leads to conspiracy theories and it also leads to very bad things. But there is a possibility that that's what we're doing, because the next war that is going to be fought is not going to be fought like anything we've ever seen before. It's going to involve artificial intelligence. It'll probably involve robotics, actual on-the-ground robots and drones in the sky. And it'll be terrifying. It will be as shocking and as terrifying as World War I was, because that was the time where we all of a sudden mechanized everything and nobody had ever seen that. This is going to be the one where it's mechanization with significant intelligence that will just overwhelm everything.